Hello and welcome to this edition of Africa Speaks. My name is Joy Doreen Bira, and of course today is the International Day of the Girl Child 2014, and the theme this year is empowering adolescent girls, ending the cycle of violence. And of course with this you can talk about quite a lot. We still have some missing girls in Nigeria who continue to be missing, and despite efforts by the Nigerian government to have them rescued, those efforts seem to be taking quite longer than expected. So ending the cycle of violence against girls or against the girl child across the African continent is key. Now, let's start with an issue in the United States, especially amongst the black community, that is causing a lot of outrage. And after sparking outrage for remarks about not being African American in an exclusive Oprah interview last weekend, Reverend Symone responded to critics who took issue with her stance on racial identity, saying she never said she wasn't black. But this interview that was online has sparked outrage amongst the black community, not just in the United States, but all over the world. And on the recent episode of Where Are They Now, that is an episode that is run on Oprah Winfrey Network, she took an unexpected turn when Symone expressed her aversion to labels in the context of being in a same-sex relationship and also her sexual orientation. But then when she brought in the fact that she's not African American, but she is American, that is where the outrage started. But let's take a look at this conversation and what this means, especially for the African people, or people who think that maybe race is something that we need to do away with.
The tweet was, "I can finally get married. Yay, government, so proud of you." Wow. That was August 2nd, 2013. So was that your way of coming out, of saying you were gay?
That was my way of saying I'm proud of the country. But yeah. I will say that I'm in, an amazing, happy relationship with my partner, a woman. Mm-hmm. And on the other side, my mother and people in my family, they've taught me to keep my personal life to myself as much as possible. Mm-hmm. So I try my best to, hold the fence where I can, but I am proud to be who I am and what I am.
So when did you know who you were and what you were?
In that topic of dating and in love, I knew when I was like 12. I was looking at everything.
Were you looking at boys and girls?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have a word for it? Because I think when you're younger, you don't even have language for what it is.
I don't need language. I don't need a categorizing statement for it. I think that's one thing that
So you don't want to be labeled gay?
I don't want to be labeled gay. I want to be labeled a human who loves humans. I'm tired of being labeled. I'm an American. Mm-hmm. I'm not an African American. I'm an American.
Oh, girl, don't set up the Twitter on fire.
I'm sorry.
What?
I'm sorry.
My Lord. What did you just say? Stop the tape right now. Okay.
I will say this.
What?
I don't know where my roots go to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how far back they go. I can't go on, I don't know how far back, and I don't know what country in Africa I'm from. But I do know that my roots are in Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an American, and that's a colorless person, because we're all people. I have lots of things running through my veins.
You're going to get a lot of flack for saying you're not African American. You know that, right?
I don't label myself.
Okay. So I want you to say what you really mean by that.
What I really mean by that is I'm an American. That's what I really mean. I have darker skin. I have a nice, interesting braid of hair. I connect with Caucasian. I connect with Asian. I connect with Black. I connect with Indian. I connect with each culture.
You are a melting pot in one body.
Aren't we all?
Yes.
Isn't that what America's supposed to be?
Yeah, that's what it's supposed to be.
That's what it's supposed to be. I personally feel that way.
Well, there we go. And of course, a lot of people have reacted to those remarks of hers, saying she's not African American, she's American. And people need to stop labeling her, saying she's gay. You know, she's not gay, she's just a human who loves other humans. And so the whole labeling thing has, you know, sparked a lot of negativity from the black community in the United States. And people are saying, you know, first of all, by saying that you are not African American, you're American, you're still labeling yourself. And, you know, it more resonates with us back home here. You know, we tend to say, you know, I cannot be this, I cannot be that. But then at the end of the day, we still have some sense of tribalism in us. And that is something that we do find very difficult to let go of. But like I mentioned, today, in recognition of the importance of investing in and empowering girls during adolescence and preventing and eliminating the various forms of violence they experience, the theme of today's International Day of the Girl Child for 2014 is empowering adolescent girls, ending the cycle of violence. It's over 100 days since the Bring Back Our Girls campaign kicked off, and over 200 Chibok girls were abducted in Nigeria. The search for the girls continues, and as the world marks Day of the Girl Child, we are saying no to violence against children and against the girl child, and also the boy child in a way. Well, let's take a look at some of the stories from across the continent.
International Criminal Court is now in session. Ludensala Corpenal International, 8 of Art.
We begin in Kenya, where President Uhuru Kenyatta Wednesday attended the scheduled status conference at the International Criminal Court, where both the prosecution and defense made their submissions. President Uhuru Kenyatta was required to be present at the court as judges maintained the case had reached a critical juncture where they would need his input, while prosecution requested to have the case postponed indefinitely on grounds that the evidence available is not sufficient.
Let us say that the court decided it was going to stay the proceedings, and that the condition on which the stay would be lifted would be the court being satisfied that the government of Kenya had now complied with its duties to cooperate. If that were the nature of the conditional stay, I hazard a guess it might be, that would in real terms be absolutely no different from an adjournment, which was expressed to be sine die, without a date fixed for the resumption of the case.
Consequently, Uhuru's defense team applied to have the case terminated, claiming prosecution's admission that it has no evidence is reason enough to have it dropped.
They have investigators and they investigate, and in a way it's a bit of a fig leaf for them to hide behind, to try and say this is not our fault that we didn't get the evidence. The case was brought after an investigation and evidence produced, which came from the national sources. And in those circumstances, for my part, at this stage, I see injustice if this court is unable to return a verdict which, for all intents and purposes, would have been there.
If the trial chamber terminates this case, others will draw the conclusion that a prosecution at the ICC can be effectively undermined through a combination of bribery, intimidation, and unlawful obstruction of access to evidence. If the trial chamber terminates this case, it will generously reward the government controlled by the accused for its refusal to comply with Your Honour's directions given at the end of March and at the end of July, and for its many violations of Part 9.
During the submissions, Uhuru's lawyer Stephen Kay expressed disappointment that the prosecution changes tact every time new evidence is provided, while calling on the court to make a verdict in the case. The judges were seeking views on the two requests and will later make a decision on the way forward. Some African presidents, though, have reacted to his presence at the ICC.
My view is that at the next summit, African countries should review their membership of the ICC treaty. The ICC is turning out not to be the value addition product that we had expected to be. It is instead a biased instrument of post-colonial hegemony.
Thomas Eric Duncan, the first person diagnosed with the Ebola virus on United States soil, died this week. Duncan became ill after arriving in the Texas city from Liberia on September 20th to visit family, hastening concerns that the world's worst Ebola outbreak on record could spread in the U.S. 42-year-old Thomas Duncan was pronounced dead at 7:51 a.m. at Texas Health Presbyterian Hospital in Dallas, where he was admitted on the 28th of September and kept in isolation. Duncan carried the deadly virus with him from his home in Liberia, though he showed no signs when he left for the United States. He is believed to have contracted the disease while helping a pregnant woman sick with it. Meanwhile, another case of Ebola has been reported in Spain. 17-year-old Pakistani child education activist Malala Yousafzai and Kailash Satyarthi, an Indian child rights campaigner, have jointly won the Nobel Peace Prize, making Malala the youngest ever recipient of the prize. Malala, the teenager shot in the head by Taliban gunmen in October 2012 for campaigning for girls' education after over 200 schools, including hers, were blown up by the Taliban in Swat Valley, Pakistan, now lives in Birmingham, United Kingdom. In acceptance of her prestigious Nobel Prize, Malala dedicated the award to the children still living in slavery despite all the advancement in technology, market and economy. The committee at the Nobel Institute in Oslo praised Malala for maintaining the tradition of Mahatma Gandhi by holding peaceful protests focused on the grave exploitation of children for financial gain. And of course, Malala's Nobel Prize does coincide with the International Day of the Girl Child. At 17, she becomes the youngest prize winner for this very prestigious Nobel Peace Prize. Now, let's take a look at Click. And animals have in some instances been said to share a kind of love that not even some humans can express. And today we feature a dog who mourns his friend or partner, and take a look and just see just how similar or very different we are from these species. Now, I must admit that's the saddest video that I've watched this week, just to see, you know, a dog mourn his fellow friend or partner, and you know, he's crying out for help and trying to resuscitate his friend, but then he can't do anything about it. It's just one of those sad things that you wouldn't imagine an animal would be capable of. Now, in a short while, we're going to be speaking to the First Lady of Lagos State in Nigeria, Dame Emanuela Abimbola Fashola was born. That was on the 6th of April 1965 into the Ojo Ibadan family of Ibadan in Oyo State. And she's, of course, a distinguished alumnus of the Lagoon Secretarial College of Lagos, and she worked with the British Council for 19 years. But she's going to let us in on what exactly it means to be a First Lady of a state in Nigeria, what her role is, and just what are some of those challenges, and what has she achieved since she became First Lady in 2007. Her husband, or the governor of Lagos State, Babatunde Fashola, happens to be one of the most popular governors across the African continent. And what does this mean for her as the lady behind this very successful governor in Lagos State, Nigeria? We're going to be looking into that, of course, and she's also going to be talking about the Bring Back Our Girls campaign and just about how much she has done to help in the rescue of those girls, or even at least facilitate the parents of the missing girls. Now, we'll take a short break. When we return, we'll be speaking to her. And by the way, she is in Kenya. She's here to join the Meru County First Lady in doing a number of key programs or non-governmental programs in Meru County. Like I did mention, we are to speak to Abimbola Fashola, who is the First Lady of Lagos State in Nigeria. Thank you so much for joining us on this edition of Africa Speaks. You resigned your job in 2006. That was a prestigious job at the British Council. Why did you do that?
Well, because my husband had decided to go into politics, and I know he wouldn't be able to do it all by himself. I needed to support him as well, and then get all the female within the state to be in his support. So, of course, I can't do that while I still had a paid job. So it was best for me to resign my job.
Great. So since you took office, I should say, as First Lady of Lagos State, what has been your role as First Lady? What do First Ladies of States do in Nigeria?
First Ladies of States really are like, number one, goodwill ambassadors to the state. And they advocate for and sensitize people on things that has got to do with women empowerment, youth empowerment, and then child and children mortality and reducing it and all that. So we work mostly with the states, the government of the state. That's with the ministries of environment, making sure the environment is clean, being the number one advocate, really. People want to see the wife of the governor, and the moment they see your face and they hear you speak, they just follow through.
All right. And so are you funded? Are you paid by the state or by the government?
Unfortunately, we're not being paid anything. All we do is just to support our husbands. So there's really no salary. We are not even recognized in the Constitution.
All right. So you have an NGO at the moment called Learn, and it's one of the NGOs that is close to your heart. Tell me about it, and what exactly does it do?
Lagos Empowerment and Resource Network Learn. It's actually, while I was in the British Council, for 10 years I was running exams, and I met a lot of youth, and I felt we need to redirect them. So immediately I had the opportunity. My husband became the governor. I felt there was no way I could get a paid employment, but I could nurse my own agenda, which is speaking to the youth, redirecting them, giving them the self-esteem, and then ensuring that they're responsible within the society. So I set up the NGO, and then all we try to do every year is do some leadership programs, do some summer camp for them, and source funds from well-meaning Nigerians and corporate organizations.
Right. How many people have you reached out to since?
I must have reached out to close to, if not 2.5 million, over 3 million.
All right. And knowing that you are the First Lady of Nigeria's most populous state, I should say, which is Lagos, you know, let me get into the bit where you are the chair of a committee of wives of Lagos state officials. What does this gender-based community advocate for?
Well, it's women empowerment, and it's got to do with, CALSO is all about women empowerment and raising funds from annual conferences so that we ourselves could contribute into the development of this state. So once we do that annual conference, we raise funds from conference forms that we have sold, the conference fees, and then donations from organizations and those who believe in the women cause. And then after that, what we try and do during the conference days is really impact on the women on leadership, on how to be a good woman, on how to run your homes, on how to run your businesses, on how your career and your home front, balancing both so that nothing suffers, and how to be there for your children, to be the mother that we are, which is our primary role. So we try as much as possible to manage everyone and ensure that somebody has something doing, because I believe that a woman must always earn a living, no matter how small it is. So that's encouraging women to stand up from their comfort zone and get something doing. If it's community, if it's charity, if it's something, but get something doing. You must get a life. That's the way you can get a fulfillment.
Interesting. So from your own perspective, do you think that it was ever necessary for the office of the First Lady to even be set up in the different states of Nigeria?
I should think so, yes. Yes. Because if we do not have the office of the First Lady, what becomes of that wife of the governor? Because really there's nothing she's going to do aside from the NGO, which she really cannot put her face forward because she can't source for funds the way she would want to source for it, because you don't want people coming back to ask you for favors that you cannot grant, but you have people running it for you. So the only other way you can do is be the goodwill ambassador, be the third eye of your husband, be there for your husband to know what is happening. You're the one who is on the street, who is finding out what is happening, what policies do they like, what policies don't they like, what next are they expecting from your the government of the day. So those sort of things, there must be the office of the First Lady. There are so many things I do. I work on health. I work for them when we're advocating for cancer, for example, awareness and all that, sensitizing people. I champion that. I champion the sanitation day. Every last Saturday of the month, I'm there, going to clean gutters for people in areas that I don't even know, if not for that opportunity. So everything, women empowerment, you're there talking to the women at the grassroots level to say that you must find something doing. We all must work together. The country, the state must move forward, and in the longer run, the country itself will progress if every woman is up and doing.
Right. You've talked about empowerment. Let's talk about the Bring Back Our Girls campaign that kicked off in April, I think, when the girls were kidnapped. These are over 200 girls. And up until today, some girls are still missing. What has been your role in trying to ensure that these girls return to their homes?
What I have done with Bring Back the Girls is, because initially when we started the Bring Back the Girls in Nigeria, some aspect of it, because you know it's a democratic role, and you have two major parties, and they see our own party, which is the Action Progressive Congress Party, APC, as an opposition to the PDP party, which is the ruling party. And so for every state that has participated in giving a voice to Bring Back the Girls, they have always seen it as an opposition party, and that it is really the opposition that is making a lot of noise and all that. So I didn't want to join that, and all I did was join the women in business, because there's a organization called WIMBIS, Women in Management and Business, and all we did then was talk about it and talk about how we're going to counsel the girls when they bring back the girls, and then still use all those NGOs who are on the ground to work on the government to ensure that these girls are brought back, but majority of them are still missing.
So what is on the ground right now? Is there hope?
There is hope, because the government, I think, is now really tackling Boko Haram. They've seen that it's a menace that they can't let it go. What they have done in the past is really not working. So I think they are engineering themselves.
All right. So let's have your final remarks. Speak to First Ladies across Kenya and across Africa in your final remarks.
Well, my final remark is to say that for every woman who is there, who is the wife of the governor of any elected county, is that we are meant to support our husbands. We are meant to be the third eye of our husbands. We're meant to be the goodwill ambassador of the state. And for that reason, we need to put in our best. We need to support everything that concerns a woman, that concerns a child, that concerns social welfare, and that concerns sanitation and empowerment of every woman. That is what I believe in, and that's what I have been doing, and that's what I would encourage you to keep doing, even when you have negativity around you.
All right, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Her Excellency, for speaking to Africa Speaks. Are you supporting your husband for his next gubernatorial ambition?
No, he can't.
He can't.
We're done.
His term is done.
We're going back home.
You're going back home to be with the kids. Well, thank you so much for speaking to us. There was Abimbola Fashola, who is the First Lady of Lagos State in Nigeria. That is the most populous state in Nigeria. Lessons learned from her, and also about the Bring Back Our Girls campaign. Thank you for watching.